Hello and welcome back. This video is going to be about my first attempt at making a PVC sheath, and here's the result. Like the way it came out. Not as difficult as I thought it might be. I'm still going to have to do some work on the stain that I have on it. This is a, when I bought this they referred to them as bolo knives, not bolo machetes, and it's about 42, 44 years old. And this sheath, the system I put on it is these little cans. You can paint them, leave them like they are. I've seen a lot of sheaths where they use ranger bands to make pouches and other methods. What I didn't like is they're always with the sheath. You either have the sheath and the pouches, or you don't have the sheath and you don't have the pouches. And I was looking at ways to make that more versatile. You can hold quite a bit in these, but the biggest advantage, I can put this in my pocket and have it with me if I don't want to carry this. So this is the system I went with. I've looked at a lot of pages, haven't seen anything quite like this, but as I mentioned in the videos that are upcoming, that doesn't mean they're not out there. But this system gives me more flexibility of what I want to use this for. So this is what I went with, and let's go and check out how I made it. Today I'm going to try to turn this into a sheath for one of these. I don't know if, because of the width of this, if this is going to work. I know this one will. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to mark where I'm going to make my cuts and start cutting. And I've seen this done on other YouTube videos. I just don't know how easy it's going to be or what it's going to turn out to be. So I guess we'll find out together. Alright, I went ahead and marked this, and as you can see, I left a little bit to come up over here, and there'll be tension put on this to hold it in, and this will be turned into a belt flap that goes over the belt. I'm going to leave it long because I can cut that off later, and because if I cut it too short, it's too short and it's not going to work. So I'm going to start cutting it, and I'm going to cut it with a Dremel and a little saw disc. I'm going to start with this one. I may have to put a bigger one on, but we'll just see how it goes. Alright, that took me about 8 minutes. Ended up cutting some notches just to give me less material to have to mess with. Next step, heat gun. Okay. The piece I cut off the back, I heated it up, folded it over, and that's strong. The back part that's going to be folded over for the belt loop, I did it first. I'm going to do this in stages. I've got this done. I'll start heating this part up and flattening it out. This one a lot easier than what I thought. Didn't take me much time. Went really good. When I get around to doing the actual clip, I'm going to round this off a little bit. Not this piece, but on that piece. And just to make it easier to get in and out of the belt, to loop over the belt. And I'm going to start heating this up. And it's a hot day out here, so I'm going to do it in stages. And show you what that's like on the finished product, or when I get it flattened, and then I'll deal with how this is going to work out to hold it in. Some of them on the very end here, they'll pinch it so the blade kind of wedges in. I might do that. I'll just have to see how it goes. But so far it's not been that difficult, so we'll see how the rest of it goes. Alright, the sheath, I'm done flattening it. I'm not going to make any more modifications by getting it hot. I think I'm satisfied with this. My next step is to cut down the belt flap, clean it up, smooth out all the ridges. These are burn marks. You're going to get those. The biggest thing when you build this, when I did this part, the machete was in the sheath, had some gloves, got this soft, and just held it in place until it hardened. When I did the back flap, it was not in the sheath. And when I heated this was sticking out, so I heated it, bent it, but you have to heat this joint. This here pushed into this side, and I couldn't get the machete in when it hardened up. And I realized, well, if I'm bending something, I got to make sure something else isn't going to bend with it. So I heated this back up, folded it out, dropped the sheath in, heated it from the back, folded it over. Let me get that in camera. Folded it over, and now, oh, sorry about that. Now it works. And this sheath, blade is down. Blade is up. So it's left or right. You can do it however you want to do it. I want it to make it that way because sometimes I'm going to switch it out. So I'm going to trim that off, clean up the edges, use acetone to clean it up, and then I've got some dyes. I'm going to use that as the base for the dye. The clear cleaner for PVC. Seen a couple of videos on that. So my next step is to get it ready to dye, and then I'll show you how I'm going to rig this up with Ranger bands. Here's the finished sheath, PVC sheath, and these are what I used to put the pattern on it. Yesterday when I put the pattern on and let it dry, it was doing fine. This morning I'm having a little bit of issues with it. I'm going to have to address them, and I'll do an update on that. This is kind of a dabbed on pattern in the back, and this I just took the brush strokes back and forth and put that pattern on. I'm just looking for something to get rid of the white or to break up the white. Now, when I did this with the heat gun, the belt loop was sticking out. I flattened that out first. Then I had to, because of the length of this, although it's not very long, the heat gun wasn't heating the whole thing enough to do it all at once, so I did about half and half. And the first time I put the pressure on it and put the board on it and braced it down, couldn't get the sheath in, heated it back up a little bit, it popped up, put the blade in it, and then put some weight on it, and that worked out good. I left it where there's some tension, enough to hold it in there on its own, so I don't have to worry about coming up with some system to hold it. But overall, I'm real satisfied with it. I'm still going to be experimenting with the coating. Next, I'm going to show you how I'm going to rig this out with a, I guess you can call it a system, that I'm going to be using to carry extra stuff on the sheath when I'm out in the field with it. So let me get that rigged up and show you what that looks like. There is the finished product, the sheath set up the way I'm going to use it. Now this setup I've seen people put a bunch of gear in these. I've seen a couple where they've strapped it to a backpack or maybe a small knife. I've got 3 cans. I've not seen it done this way. Doesn't mean it hasn't been done. There's a ton of videos out there. But when I made this, I decided to use this method because I've got fishing, first aid, fire. If I'm at camp and I want to go fishing, I can just pop this can out, walk out there with a knife that I carry with me all the time and be perfectly fine. So do the same for either one of these. They can pop out, I can put them in a pocket, and I don't have to carry the sheath if I don't want to. And you can stuff quite a bit in these. But that's the way it looks, and you can paint them. I'm just going to leave mine this way because they're kind of color coded. And they seem to be in there real tight, so I'm not worried about them coming off. Worst comes to worst, I'll find a way to get them to stay on. But I don't see that being a problem with those Ranger bands. This overall, the weight is heavier than just a sheath. PVC is heavier than canvas, but it's going to last forever. It's still pretty comfortable. I had mine sit kind of high because when I kneel down and stuff, I don't want that blade getting caught on the ground. It makes it easier for me to move around anyway. But that's how this turned out. I'm really pleased by it. I'm going to be making some more of them for different knives and different machetes because I've been so impressed with this one. First one was moderately hard or to make. There's some mistakes I made that I had to correct. The next one will go a lot easier. But that's my sheath. That's my 42, 44-year-old bolo knife or bolo machete. When I made this, I pressed down enough to where there's when I put the blade in, there's enough tension that it holds the blade by itself. I don't have to put another method to keep that blade in because it's been doing a really good job. But that's what I put together. Like I said, I think this is fairly unique. I haven't seen anything like it, but that doesn't mean it's not out there. But I'll probably be doing some updates on it and let you know how it's working out. Well, thank you.